Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? Um, Quite a day we got going on. We got a lot of movement happening in the charts. A lot of movement happening in some of these stocks that had earnings yesterday. Hope everyone's doing well. We're just getting fucking started here. Welcome back to another episode of the Order Book. It's your boy Trader Mayne. As always, we're going to be chatting some shit, going through some charts, some markets, a little bit of yapping, a little bit of educating. We'll talk about some current events, what's going on in the crypto sphere, in the world in general. And as always, going over some of the poly market bets that I'm monitoring. Tough act to follow up here, guys. We got FaZe Banks and Ansem launching a new show called The Market Bubble. Good shit. I love seeing people create. Now there's fucking a lot of crypto shows now, it seems. Everyone saw the TPBN method and was like, let me replicate that. But as always, guys, we're going to stay in our own lane. You know what I mean? Your boy Mayne brings his own little flavor to the way we do things here. We're going to keep this a lot more about the market itself, talking about the actual charts, trade ideas, things that I see. We had earnings Armageddon yesterday. So a lot of companies had their earnings yesterday. Some have today, some had earlier in the week. And a lot of these stocks are actually pulling back after beating earnings. So we got to figure out what the fuck's going on. Is this the top, as my clickbait thumbnail seems to suggest? Like, are we topping this bitch? Or is there still more room for this to go? So let's get into it. As always, we're going to start off with some charts. Let's look at Bitcoin first, guys. So we'd been talking about kind of this SMT between Bitcoin and ETH, right? So there's this Bitcoin and ETH SMT. We ended up taking the short on Ethereum from like here to here, caught like a nice little, 7-8% move. Now the question is, what's next? And in the last video, I had kind of shown you guys that like you at any point in time, right, you can have two different opinions on the market that are both justified via TA, via fundamentals, right? There's going to be people who are telling you that the AI trade is early, right? Like they can't keep up with the demand for chips. These semiconductors are going crazy. AI is only improving. It's going to take over the world. Like you're early to the AI trade. There's going to be other people who are telling you that like a lot of this stuff is overvalued. These semiconductor companies are massively overvalued, Micron, etc., SanDisk, whatever else the other ones are. And you're late. This is a bubble and you're catching the end of it. And then you look at the chart, you can have someone say, yeah, it's going up like crazy, but it's got more room to go. You're going to have other people saying this is clearly a blow off top. So what you need to do as a trader, your job is to find asymmetric bets. It's really all it is, right? We're looking for asymmetric opportunities across a variety of different markets where we can define our risk and where we believe our potential reward outweighs that risk asymmetrically. So when I say asymmetric, what I mean by that specifically is I want you to be getting 2 to 1 to like 3 to 1 at least. You guys hear that? That's crazy. There's a ghost. 2 to 1 to 3 to 1 at least on your ideas, on your bets. Okay, so essentially all this means is for every $1 that you risk, the potential reward is $2. For every $1 that you risk, the potential reward is $3. Now, why this asymmetry is so important is because with a 2 to 1 reward to risk ratio, you only need to have a 33% win rate to break even. This is your break even win rate. Whereas if you have a 3 to 1 reward to risk, your win rate to break even is going to be 25%. So when you stack the math in your favor, it really allows you to take shots and not worry about getting shit wrong, because the trades that you make that you hit correctly are going to outweigh the losers, right? So with a 33% win rate to break even, that means you can get, 40 out of 100 trades correct. You make $80 on these trades, right? Because every one of these that you get correct, you make $2, right? And then every trade that you get wrong, you lose $1. So you're netting out $20 here. You're literally profitable, right? Add zeros as your account permits. You're literally profitable here, winning 40% of the time. Here, my gosh, you win fucking 30 trades out of 100. All of a sudden, right, the trades that you win, you've made $90, right? You lost 70 trades. Same thing here, right? You're up $20, winning 30% of the time. So here you're profitable at 40%. Here you're profitable at 30%. So the reason why this is really important is when it goes back to that conversation we were having yesterday where it's like, okay, I don't know if you should be a bull or a bear here. I see arguments for both sides. I need to be able to define my risk and then my reward. Risk is always first. So now that Bitcoin has had a little bit more price movement here, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry, boys. I'm so sorry. Now that we have a little bit more price movement here on Bitcoin, we can actually look and we've taken out this low. Okay. We've taken out this low. Thanks, JMO. You're gay too. We've taken out this low. So now if you're a bull, right, the argument is a little bit cleaner because we have both this order block that we had watched and we have a sweep. So if we have this sweep and this order block, now I'm not saying that you have to take this long, but if you were gonna long before, when we were trading here yesterday or during our last stream, I said, okay, well, what are you gonna do? Long here, stop way down there. You got to target, well past 80K to get a 2-to-1. Okay. Whereas now that we've had this sweep within this order block, you could now argue that the long is this. Now I can get that same 2-to-1 without having to hold for a much larger move, right? Into potential resistance here. I have a much closer target and I have a much closer invalidation. Ticket on DC before you got banned for promote yourself. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. So this is a much better setup than what was available on Tuesday, is my entire point. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to work, right? I'm not saying that I'm even going to take this trade. All I'm showing you is by waiting, allowing price to come to us, like I wrote in Telegram earlier, gives us more context, gives us more information, and then we can now go forward and say, okay, I have more info now. I have a much more clear invalidation. I can now take a long here. My stop is a lot closer. My target is a lot closer. This might be a better trade overall. Okay. So that's all I really mean by that. And it's up to you, right, to learn the ability to be patient, right? And allow price to come to you and give you a setup like this. So for me, the setup for the bulls now is a lot stronger than the setup was on Tuesday because we have this sweep. This sweep gives you a very tight invalidation. Now, we can roll over from here. We can take out this low and then go up. We can do all sorts of shit, right? We can go straight line to 100. We can go straight line to 0. Anything can fucking happen in the markets, okay? But if you were looking to long this 12-hour order block, what I'm showing you is now that you have this sweep here, you actually have a much better setup because you can have a much tighter risk to reward. Before, your stop loss was almost 3% below your entry. Now your stop loss is less than 2% below your entry. Much tighter stop, meaning you need a less aggressive target, meaning you can also increase your position size. So this is a long, I think, that is worth taking. if you're a bull. Like that's your I think that is still a good invalidation, but I think you can argue this is now your invalidation. Let me zoom in, make it a little prettier. I think you can argue that this is now your invalidation here. Below this sweep, and you only need to target into here. Now, because I'm still leaning bearish for the reasons I described in the last video, monthly, weekly, high time frames are all still downtrending. I would much rather look for a short to form in resistance than long. But does that not mean you could take a long from here to here? Of course you can. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. We're analyzing like very micro price action. Bitcoin is like really, really, really not volatile right now. So a lot more interesting markets that are moving a lot harder, like in equities, where crypto has kind of been just a laggard, not just in price, but in just vol as well. I mean, yes, we're at the range highs. Yes, we're pushing up into 80K, but like look at this chart and then look at like the S&P 500. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard to argue that we're not at least lagging. And it's like, okay, if we're going to go, what other argument do we need than like this is pushing, right? Even the Dow is starting to creep over that line there, and Bitcoin just kind of hovering here. So I see the argument for a long, and I think the sweep that we got confirmed overnight gives you a much better setup. Does that make sense to everyone? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's look at ETH, and then we'll quickly look at Sol, and then I want to get into TradFi because I think it's a lot more interesting. So we took the short here on ETH based on the SMT, right? Weaker than Bitcoin, ended up providing a nice short opportunity on this bearish retest. We targeted down into here. You could have got at least 2R out on this thing if you took the trade. Okay, so that was the setup that we took. This has been like over a week old. So I've TP'd the vast majority of this position. I'm holding a very small moon bag, or a doom bag, I guess you could say. But I've TP'd the vast majority of this position already. And I'm now looking for new setups. And I'm trying to see, same as Bitcoin here, is ETH going to make another push higher? So if you look at Ethereum, it closed as a weekly bearish SFP. And it's still holding below that level, whereas Bitcoin closed above the level on the week. You could argue that there's a similar setup here on ETH as there was on Bitcoin. You have this candle right here. That is your order block. And then you have a sweep. Okay, now this isn't an SFP. We actually closed below that low, but you can treat it the same as a sweep. So the argument is still there on ETH, the same as it is on Bitcoin. But what can you see here? Can I multi-chart this? Of course I can. Kraken Pro has everything. Best charting on any centralized exchange, Kraken Pro by far. If I zoom in here to, let's say, the 4 hour, and I go the 4 hour here, right? We have another SMT here. Okay? Whereas Bitcoin is making a higher low here, right? ETH has made a lower low in that same time frame. So this is another SMT. Meaning, if we're going to get a bounce, I think the bounce on Bitcoin is actually the better of the two, because Bitcoin is showing more strength, right? Whereas ETH showed more weakness by making a lower high. So let me know if this is boring to you guys, but I feel like this educational stuff is important, right? Whereas on the short, when the market was going down and we want to short, Bitcoin did this and then rolled, right? Whereas ETH did this and then rolled. So ETH showed that it's weaker, okay, than Bitcoin. Therefore, if you want to short, it made more sense that was the short. Well, now we have the inverse happening here. If you want a long, what asset is better longing? The asset that made a higher low or the asset that made a lower low? I would venture to say the asset that made a higher low is probably showing more strength. And so if you had to long ETH or Bitcoin, again, all of those other things in your checklist still matter. Okay, they still matter. You still need to have your top down, right? You still need to have your top down. What the fuck is going on back there? Analysis. Still need to know what your market structure is from the top down, right? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Where are we within the range? Do you have liquidity targets? Do you have your risk defined? All of these things go into, and then obviously your entry trigger. All of these things go into your setup, right? Am I bullish or bearish on the high time frame? What is the current market structure? Where are we within the range? Are we in a premium or are we in a discount, right? Where's the liquidity? Is our risk defined? Do we know where our stop loss is? You know, I could argue, yes, we know where we want to put our stop, right? Do we have an entry trigger? I would say yes, we have an H12, H1 entry trigger. Okay, so all those things are there. The SMT is like added confluence. So like if this is your setup and the SMT is in your favor, I think you just have an even higher probability trade. Now, all of these things can be dialed in and you can still lose money, obviously. But absolutely, SMT is a very useful tool to add to your toolkit. And we'll look at it in equities as well. Any market that you're trading, look for SMT between related assets, and you're going to find better setups because you're going to be able to identify the high beta move. Trader Kane, what's up, my G? What's up, my G? Are you coming to London in June with Kraken and Ninja Trader? I don't know. I didn't get the invite. I'll have to reach out. Maybe that would be a lot of fun. I haven't been to jolly old London in a while. I'm trying not to get stabbed, so I'll make sure I leave my watch at home. But that could be a lot of fun, bro. DM me on Instagram or Telegram and give me some more details. I'll see if I can swing it. Okay, so does what I'm explaining about SMT and how you can just kind of layer it in, right, to what you're looking for in terms of trade setups, does it make sense? I'm going to assume by your silence and this dictatorship that the answer is yes. So if we go look at Bitcoin, ETH, right, Sol, it's the same story across the board here. Oh, Sol versus Euro. Ew. Who the fuck wants to look at that? Sol being the weakest, right? So Sol is the weakest out of these three assets by far. By far. Okay? Doesn't mean it can't go up. But it's the weakest of the three, right? So it's kind of trying to hold on to the mid-range here. The entire market, I think, is at the same point. And the big risk that we run here is if this rolls over at all, right? Like if this comes back down, we've got this bigger range, but now we've got a range here as well. Got like a range here. If this comes back within this range and the equities markets wants to correct whatsoever, the fact that Bitcoin is lagging, I just hate it. So at the very least, what I would like to see for Bitcoin, Sol, ETH, everything is a push higher. I would love to see Bitcoin give us a move up above these highs, above 80K. And then we can discuss getting bullish on the reaction that we get as we come back into this range. So something that I had talked about in the last video is this is an old trading range. Before I worry about trading from here to here, I want to see what happens here. If we just trade into that range and then reject, I actually think that's probably a short that I would look to take for a move all the way back down into this trading range here. If we're able to reclaim 80 and hold, right? Reclaim these lows here, push up, hold above here. Now I'm looking bullish for a move up towards, kind of the upper part of this range into the 90Ks. So for now, I'm very happy with the setups we've taken. I think this is kind of where you want to see Bitcoin push up from if it's going to, and the obvious target is 80K. Everything copacetic, crystal clear. So I'm going to zip into some TradFi stuff. If you guys have some altcoins you want me to look at, I'll pick 3 or 4 of them and I can look at the chart. But while you guys are putting those in the chat, I'm going to go over some TradFi charts here. Cody will monitor the chat and he will pick up any suggestions that you guys make on the TradFi side, and I'll make sure to answer a handful of them, okay? So let's get into some of this TradFi stuff. So we're just going to work our way down the list. We're going to start with the S&P 500 itself, right? So the S&P 500, new highs again. So we had massive earnings yesterday. Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, ADP, bunch of big companies doing their earnings. Vast majority of these companies all beat out their earnings. So positive earnings across the board, across a bunch of these assets. And the S&P 500 is pushing higher. Okay. The NASDAQ pushing higher. The Dow pushing higher. The Russell pushing higher. Now, what's interesting is some of these companies, okay, let's look at Microsoft, for example, right? Positive earnings, beat expectations, right? They're trading a little lower, Okay, what else do we have here? Let's look at Meta. Right? Gap down. Beat earnings. Big news on the AI front from Meta. Like, beat earnings by a lot. Right? Like, this is a big beat. Their estimate was 6.6. It reported 10.4. And they beat on revenue as well. Nuked. Okay, Amazon. Positive earnings again, right? Significant beat here. Kind of trading at par. Moved up, pulled back. Kind of trading at par. What else do we have? And then Google. Where's Google? Google is the only one that like gapped up. So again, massive beat on earnings for Google. Massive beat. And it's one of the few stocks that gapped up. So you wonder, it's like, and then like if you look at NVIDIA, for example, let's pull this up here real quick. Sorry guys, I'm just doing some shuffling. And then where's NVIDIA? There we go. If you look at NVIDIA, for example, like it's kind of like, is this just a fake out of the range? So this is why I'm being like slightly, facetious with my is the top in thumbnail, because there's an argument to be made that like, hey, every big tech company just beat earnings, but some of the charts don't look as good. NVIDIA didn't have earnings, right? But this is like a short setup, is it not? So if NVIDIA breaks below here, if NVIDIA breaks below this, like this is a textbook short for me and my system. Weekly SFP, break below there. Like this is just short into these equal lows here. Now, is this going to happen? I have no idea. This could hold here. But this is like slightly concerning that some of the Mag 7 here, some of the bigger stocks are pulling back, looking kind of whereas the indices themselves are pushing higher. But the indices themselves, as F Tech here just enumerated in the chat, it's being pushed by some of these small caps. There's an argument to be made, right, that you have, right? It's similar to crypto. You have the big stuff go, right? And then the little stuff go. And then the little stuff, once the big stuff starts to roll over, the little stuff is pushing up the equities, the index, longer than it's actually meant to go. So like there's a bit of a discongruency here between, the large indices, the US 500, the NQ, the Dow, and the actual big stocks that kind of make up these buckets. Amazon, NVIDIA specifically. So something to watch here. Like this is a good setup for me. This is a setup I really like on NVIDIA. So I'll literally set an alert on this. And if we get a break below there, that's something I might be looking for on the short side. Yeah, that's my foot tapping the mic. I'm sorry. I've got restless leg syndrome. I'll stop. So I'm watching for potential signs of a fade. Like there's so many like, where's Micron? Like, I don't know, man. Intel. Like, what is going on here? I don't know, man. I think something's going to pop soon. Something's going to implode soon. And I do think we're going to pull back. As we discussed in Tuesday's video, like the Paul Tudor Jones, podcast, excuse me, about how over-levered and overvalued and over-equitized the U.S. stock market is, just in the U.S., the country is in general. It's slightly worrisome. And so before I run into the market that I know the best, which is crypto, and say, hey, I'm just going to long Bitcoin here for a move back to all-time high, I would rather see how we do as we approach kind of major resistance here, because we have resistance in many forms here, including this fair value gap. So this is kind of the short-term plan I have here for Bitcoin. Going to see how it looks. SanDisk is a good one to look at, right? Like, what's going on here, guys? What's going on here? How long does this last? So this is trading decently lower after hours here. 7-8% lower. So in terms of looking for like SMT, right? If you wanna look for SMT, you could look at something like NQ versus the ES. And then on the low time frame here, right? Let's say this is gonna roll over. Just speaking hypothetically. If this was going to roll over, hypothetically speaking, what I would look for is a divergence between these two charts. Let's go down to the 30. Okay. So what I would be looking for is something like, right, we're here. I would look for something like this. Okay. And then on this chart, I'd be looking for, does that make sense? So one of them is going to make a higher high. One of them is going to make a lower high. And if you wanted to short, this one becomes the better short. That would be the SMT. This would be the exact same setup as I took on Bitcoin versus ETH. And you can do this with any asset. So you can look at like the Great British Pound. And then you can look at Euro USD. And it's the same thing, right? So like out of the lows here, there's going to be instances where there is a divergence between these two charts at the highs and lows. And then you just determine which one you might want to long or short based on this divergence. So if we go, I don't know, there's got to be one back here, not that far. Where are we? February, April 13th. Kind of been pretty similar. You could argue maybe it's like here and here. There's got to be one here. There you go. Right now, they both made lower lows there. Son of a gun. You know what I'm saying, though, at this point, guys, right? Like, there's going to be one of these that makes it. Here it is. Perfect example, okay? Higher low. Right? Lower low. Related assets, they trade the same. The overall trend on these assets is the same. Right? But what had the bigger move out of the low? Right? Euro did. It made a higher low. SMT was bullish, showed some strength. Intel, please look from 19 to 20. In from 19 to 20, looking to TP 120 to 150 if blow off. So you're in Intel and you're up 10x almost, but you're not happy yet. You want higher. You want higher. You're in from 19, bro? Where's my DM, dude? Where the fuck is the DM saying Trader Mayne, I'm all in Intel at 19? So you bought in here? I don't know. I don't know how you don't take at least some off on this, bro. But, like, what are we even talking about here? Fucking less than a year? Four bagger? Crazy trade. Can this go higher, dude? Yeah, but, like, we're in complete price discovery now, so how high it goes, I have no idea. It's like this trend is so aggressive. I would think that this is potentially fillable, right? So you got to be aware of that, but that could end up being support. But yeah, if you're like trying to hold on for 120 is what you're saying, you know, you're asking for another 30% on something that you're up 300% on. I'm not here to give you financial advice. Just be aware, you know? Be aware. Like, absolutely, this can probably go higher. Just like, at what point do you start taking profits? That's the $1 million question, right? You could use something like this to try and extrapolate. Okay, so you do this, and then we throw on, and then we're going to invert this. Where's the inversion button? Invert. There it is. And then we'll throw on like this. This. Did I do it the wrong way? No? Okay. 2, do 1, 2, 4, blah, 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 blah. So where's the 1, 1? Minus 1 plus 1. And then where's this 2? I like just 2. Yeah, so I could see it. So like you can use fibs, guys, for like a standard deviation almost. So like if I take a fib from the low of this last rally to the high, right? And then I stack it on top of itself. Okay, this would be a full standard deviation. So a half a deviation is 97. A full standard deviation above this move puts you at like 130. We could do it from here as well. Like you can use any price leg for this, by the way. The market moves kind of in measured moves, but if you want to use this as your standard deviation, stack it on top. So a half standard deviation above this leg puts you right around that 110 level. Pretty dope. Okay, guys, Cody's got a list here. I've got TRX, Bonk, Hype, CRV, Palantir, QNT. So don't worry, I'm gonna get through the list. We gonna get through it. All right, let's look at TRX. Sure, why not? The chart that just keeps going up. I would say like you have this larger structure here, right? This to here. And that is your kind of demand. So if this is going to go, I think this is kind of where you want to see it hold. But again, like this chart has just been unbelievably bullish over time. I'm not like, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. And I've said this a bunch, like I'm not super interested in crypto right now. I think there's a lot more interesting markets outside of crypto to look at. Like bonk like is every fucking altcoin on the planet right now. We've talked about these 1,000 times at this point, right? Like I've given you guys the exact roadmap on how to trade these, right? Aggressive sell-off, slightly less aggressive. Now it's going sideways. You have two options for bonk here. You either accumulate near the range lows here, which is like right now. So you just start buying bonk and you're wrong below the range, or you wait and see if we get a move above here, right? If we get a move above here, then by all means, it's on like fucking Donkey Kong. But like with what equities are doing right now, I don't know why, like having your attention, not just your capital, right? But you have to think of your attention as finite, right? Your mental bandwidth is finite. You only have so much that you can look at. I'm sure you guys have felt this before. Like if you go through a regular day, right? There's two types of days here, okay? Day A, you wake up and before you even get out of your bed, you open up your phone and you start just scrolling, right? You just start scrolling Twitter. Fucking bullshit. Just all immediately. Your brain hasn't even turned on yet. You haven't even seen the sun. You haven't had a glass of water. And you're already on the phone frying your dopamine and serotonin receptors. Like you're frying and cooking your brain with bullshit, okay? After you get out of bed, after doom scrolling for 30 minutes, and what do you see? Then you maybe go on Instagram and you see some like dude with a bunch of babes on a yacht, and you're getting out of bed, it's gray out, and you got to go to work or something, or you're going to go like do some shit you don't want to do. You've started your day so shitty. You've already annihilated so much of your attention span, so much of your dopamine, so much of your serotonin into this little fucking evil device, okay? That sucks your fucking, your brain in. It's like a fucking black hole for your attention, okay? Then you get up, now your entire day is shot. And you know this. I guarantee this happens to me. Days where I look at my phone too early in the morning, and like I try and do the whole no phone for an hour. I try. Very rare, but I try. Try and get up, get some sun on my eyes, drink some water. But like, I look at my phone. So you doom scroll on it, Twitter. You're just getting a bunch of fucking bullshit, right? Stupid fucking meme coins, another rug pull, more scammers, more bullshit, more rug pulls, more shit. Strait of Hormuz this, right? Iran that, Trump said this. You're fucked. We're all going to die. AI is going to take your jobs. And then you're expected to go start your day and have a good day. You only have so much mental bandwidth and capacity in a single day. And you've one-shotted a good amount of it into your phone before the day's even begun. And then you notice through the rest of your day, you're tired. You're having trouble focusing. You're feeling burnt out. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to go to the gym. So maybe you order some junk food. You skip the gym. You stay inside all day. You ignore your girlfriend. Like you're just a piece of shit. Versus the day that you wake up, you go outside, it's sunny, you feel the sun on your eyes, you chug your water with your electrolytes, right? You get a little walk in. An hour goes by, then you sit down at your desk, you're feeling refreshed, you're feeling good, you have your coffee, and you're like, man, I'm going to kick ass today. And then you do, right? You just start nailing shit off your to-do list. You just cook. Right? I guarantee you've experienced those two scenarios. I do all the time, right? Obviously, day B is much better than day A because what you're not doing first thing in the morning with day B is fucking frying and using up all of your mental capital right off the rip. And so my whole point of this rant, I know boyfriend or imaginary fucking stick figure or AI OnlyFans girl that you talk to, whatever floats your boat, bro. But the whole point of this rant is just like you only have a certain amount of money, you want to allocate your money to assets, opportunities that you believe have the best potential to return you more money with the calculated amount of risk. If I have $100,000 to deploy, I don't maybe want to put it all in one thing. Maybe I want to put some here, some there, but you're tactical with it. Your mental bandwidth is the same. right? You only have so much mental bandwidth in a given day. So don't fucking waste it on bullshit. And so what I'm talking about with altcoins here is this is February, bro. We're now, tomorrow is May 1st, February, March, April. You spent 3 months looking at bonk, which hasn't fucking moved. Meanwhile, in this same 3-month span, we have had equity charts go up like 100%. Right? Like, how much is this up since February? 100% move on Intel since February. Right? The S&P dumped 10% and then pumped 15% in that same period of time. Right? NVIDIA, again, same thing. From February, dumped 15%, pumped 30%. So many of these equity charts are super volatile. Look at this chart, dude. Where's February here? Right here? It's up 30% since February. It started off with a dump. So, like, there's volatility out there. And it's not in crypto right now. I'm not saying to ignore crypto completely, but if you're in these markets all day, every day, I've been doing these streams since February, as when I started the show. Every stream, someone has asked me to look at bonk. Every stream. Every stream, someone has asked me to look at Doge. Now, hey, maybe it is going to go, but still we're within the same range. If we can get a breakout here, okay, now it becomes very interesting. This looks better than bonk for now. So maybe there's some opportunities abound, but like you're wasting not just poor allocation of your money, but there's poor allocation of your mental capital to some of these things right now because there's opportunities elsewhere. If you're a trader and your goal is to chase volatility, there's better places right now than altcoins. I'm not saying altcoins won't come back or there haven't been any opportunities. It's just like every stream, you guys ask me to look at the same coins. And a lot of these coins, XRP is another one, are just in a range, doing fuck all for 3 months. And if you're like, hey, I've got money and I don't know where to deploy it, I'm not saying ignore alts completely, but just think about where you're spending your time, right? So hype is one of the differences, right? So hype, everyone asks for hype. Hype at least is moving, right? Can you buy me dinner? I don't know. You got to ask my wife. Hype is moving. We talked about this order block here, this 12-hour order block. So it's coming in here, getting a little bit of a reaction potentially. I think at this point, we've taken out that low. If we're able to do something like this, I'd be interested. Otherwise, I'd wait for a digger deeper into here, right? Or a move above here. And the reason I say above here is this is a weekly sweep. So I'm hesitant just longing randomly. I would rather see a setup form, which is going to be deeper into this weekly order block below these lows. Or, right, if we break above this candle here, this becomes a new order block. Right? So this becomes a new order block, hence my little drawing here. So I'll draw it a little better. So if we break above this line, these two candles now become an order block. And we'll have taken out this low. So that becomes the setup, or I think you wait for, a move down into here and then something like that. Your mental attention is infinite. So I'm jealous. What's up, Wiz? How you doing, bro? Favorite non-tech stock? Good question. Is there a non-tech stock that I really like? You know what I'm interested in, bro? You know what I'm interested in is weed. I know this looks horrible, right? Like you're like, oh my God, dude, this is going to zero, right? Or there's like there's Valens. There's SNDY, I think, or SND. But weed is starting to get legalized in a bunch of countries in Europe. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not positioned in this. This is not a fucking call. I'm not positioned in this. but they're talking a lot about legalization. SNDL, thank you. They're talking a lot about legalization in major European countries. The US just brought weed from Schedule 1 down to Schedule 3. So it used to be like the same as cocaine. Now it's like much less severe. And, you know, they're talking about shrooms. So I think there's a world where these weed products and companies start to get more commoditized. And I actually think they become very interesting again. So I'm not in it yet. I'm not in it yet, right? But something I'm paying attention to. Mayne, giving you all the sauce for free. You helped me make 6 figs through trading. If I ever see you in real life, I'll kiss you. Bro, I will kiss you right back on the mouth, okay? I will fucking do that. That's how much I love my fans. Okay, let's look at CRV. So there's hype kind of real quick. CRV, I think has a little bit of movement. I mean, again, like, look at so many equity charts right now. And the fact that you can trade equities now, single name stocks, equity charts, you can trade them on places like Kraken, right? You're going to be able to trade them on Polymarket soon. You can trade them on NATO. You can trade them on Hyperliquid. You have no excuse not to be expanding your horizons beyond crypto. And it makes me more and more dubious of the crypto bid in general, at least for altcoins, when crypto participants are now going to have access to equities, single name stocks, equity indexes, and with perps like products and technology. If I can go on Hyperliquid and I can trade fucking NVIDIA with a perps like product that doesn't fucking close, like, where's the market for fucking altcoins anymore? Now, I still believe there's a world where altcoins are like penny stocks and people want to get rich and you can find 1000x. I'm not saying alts and memes are going away, but at least right now, if you're like, hey, dude, I want to be locked in, I want to be trading, like, what chart do you want to trade? Now, is this a chart that could bounce? We're fucking rock bottom here. Like, we're rock bottom here. Could this be accumulation? Or maybe we get a manipulation move first? Could this be the outcome for a curve? Or maybe it doesn't have that dip and it just is going to go up? Like, 1000%. But we're talking like this could take months to play out. Whereas there's equities plays, single name stocks that are just giving you a lot more volatility right now. And you as a crypto participant, crypto native, you have multiple avenues in which you can trade these assets now, as if it's a crypto ticker. You know what I'm saying? So can we get stocks on breakout? No comment. No comment. Okay, so hopefully what I'm saying, you're rock hard, insane. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. Okay, guys, so again, you have a certain amount of money, you have a certain amount of mental capital. There's charts out there that just simply are better to look at than crypto right now. At least the vast majority of these coins that you guys asked me to look at every stream, I'm happy to do it. Curve is one of those ones where it's like, okay, you know, we've had a big move up, 5x, pulled all the way back. It's now back at the lows. So if you're going to pay attention to this thing, it's either going to accumulate here or we get a move down and then it probably rips, right? But so is it time to pay attention? Sure. Maybe have this on your watch list, right? And just look for, I don't know, maybe I'd say this. I would set an alert like at the high here. Whoa. My computer just got all laggy. I would set an alert at the high here, and I'd set an alert probably at the low here. What's going on here? And then I would wait for one of these two lines to break. If one of these two lines to break, then maybe something's going to happen. If we break below the lower line, I'm expecting maybe this is a sweep of this low over here. Is this just this website right now? Yeah. Give her a quick refresh. If we break below the lower line, I'm looking for maybe a sweep and then a reclaim. If we break above the upper line, I'm thinking this is potentially, you know, a breakout. that I might be interested in trading. So like that's what I would do with something like this. And I wouldn't touch it until it breaks one of these lines. Simple. Go look elsewhere in the meantime. All right, let's look at Palantir. Planet Fitness. Are you asking me to look at uranium? Are you asking me to look at Uranus? Do I have a link for NATO? Yeah. If you go on Twitter, check the website, check the link for the stream. Underneath, I have a second tweet where I have a ref link that you can join NATO on, because you do need a ref link to join. Do I stream at the same time every day? I don't stream every day. I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time, 3 p.m. PST. There's a lot of streaming competition now, guys. We got Thread Guy. We've got fucking Ansem. We've got all sorts of people doing these streams. Ansem and FaZe Banks, bro. That's a fucking pretty big, squad for streaming. So, we got to compete. I got to represent for the boys. I think my stream's a little bit different than theirs, just fundamentally, because I'm, more of a chart centric kind of guy. But hey, those are two big names. We're going to have to compete with. We're going to have to compete with them, but I'm just going to try and I'm going to try and do what I do, which is draw boxes on charts and have an abnormally large neck. Palantir. So do I love this chart or do I hate it? Guys, I'm going to have a code for Polymarket US tonight. They're making me one. Don't worry. I asked specifically. So we took out last month, or not last month, but we took out February's low. We took out February's low, okay? So that's sort of interesting. I think, like, objectively, the monthly chart and the weekly chart it's a tough read here. Like, I want to say, like, if I mark this box, it's going to be lined up with it's going to be lined up with that weekly zone. Yeah. Like, you could argue that this is, bearish right now. 100%. And I think, like, the target is 100. Like, this is the draw, this monthly OB. But this sweep here, right, is like the bull's last stand. So we are on the weekly time frame here, right? We have a high, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, lower low, right? So this is bearish structure on the weekly. That's significant. This looks like a lower high after a lower low. So my guess is another lower low is coming. However, if this is going to reverse and this is it, right? So like if this is going to reverse and this is going to be kind of more of a structural higher low, like on the monthly, which is very plausible, right? Because the monthly is still bullish. So if this is going to be a monthly higher low, there's two really high probability areas in which that can occur. The monthly higher low will either occur deeper down here with the monthly order block, meaning one more leg down on the weekly, or it's attempting to turn right now. And your first clue from that is that we took out February's low. So if you then zoom in a little bit further down to like the H12, we're in a range here. We took out the low. So what you would want to see if you're a bull on Palantir is like this, a higher low here, and then a break above this lower high. Like that's the confirmation of a reversal. But for now, based on the high time frame, I think a lower high getting confirmed by breaking below this low, moving down to 100 is more likely. So that's my thoughts. I like all you guys too. Thank you. Someone in here said, like, can I start doing 2 videos a week? Like, Monday, you get the whiteboard video. Tuesday, I stream. Wednesday, I do live streaming on gambling. Thursday, I stream. Friday, I do live streaming on gambling. I usually mix in a market update there as well. and then another another Monday video, and I got videos that are going out on the breakout YouTube. There's literally infinite videos of me out there right now. All you can eat Mayne on the menu all the fucking time. Can we look at PENGU? Sure. Yeah, stocks can be tricky. They don't always give you that retrace. Like, this is a perfect example of what I mean by alts. You know, we talked about this in the last stream, to be honest with you. If you want to take it, if you want to look at an altcoin, right? Remember the 4 stages, right? Gay, less gay, you know, asexual, straight. So aggressive downtrend, less aggressive, ranging, and then uptrend, right? Well, where are we in PENGU? Aggressive downtrend, less aggressive, ranging, now it's an uptrend. So like this looks interesting, right? This is broken out. Whereas if you look at Bonk, right? Where is Bonk? Bonk is still only in stage 3. You know what I'm saying? So you want to find coins that are either in stage 3 and you believe they're going to break out, or you want to find coins that are transitioning from boom, boom, boom. You want to find them when they transition to stage 4. Those are going to be your best opportunities on these reversals. Take a look at the 4-hour M15 short on Bitcoin. We got a gay bear here, guys. We got a gay bear here. Yeah, the monthly candle is closing, by the way. Let's just look at that real quick. This is your monthly close on Bitcoin, guys. What do you think? Into demand. Getting a little reaction, but we're still in a downtrend. Okay, so Dog Boy says we've got an H4 M15 bearish setup here. Let me look over on TradingView here just so it's a little cleaner. That's not any cleaner. H4 M15. Are you just talking about this literally? Literally. Okay, let's see. H4. Like, what am I looking at here, Dog Boy? Take a look at the H4 M15 short setup. Where's the sweep? Like, is this it? Is this just not a sweep on this chart? This sweep here? No. Is there a sweep here? I guess. S&P within the 4-hour fair value gap. Oh, he's talking about this. You're talking about this right here, right? Only thing I'd be cognizant of is, right, like you're shorting into this. Like you're shorting into a bullish SFP. That's the only thing I'd be aware of. But does it not mean it can work? Like, of course it can. Is the risk reward there? Like, on the breakdown? I mean, I guess. So he needs to see, for this to play out, he needs to see this. He needs to see this line, MSB. Right? And then you're targeting these lows. And then there should be a low over here somewhere, yeah. I see it, bro. Just remember that this is a H12 SFP. And to counter your argument here, or your trade idea, is we have a 12-hour order block here. Okay. We've put in a 12-hour SFP within that order block. And then on the H1, we've got a MSB right here. Oops. And we've got a breaker here. Right? So, I mean, kind of which signal do you prefer? Yeah, like you exactly, Gray Gorilla. Hey, Mayne, just wanted to give you your flowers, bro. You truly are the GOAT. Thank you for your quality educational content. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say. All All right, guys. What else do we got here? What else do we got? I mean, imagine this is just how it plays out. Just the fucking shloobity doop loop. Hype has a great H4 M15 that I'm currently in. Yeah, I mean, I imagine this is kind of similar to what I'm looking for here. I just want to see us flip that. Microsoft, nickname of your sex tape. Can I get a hoya? Yeah, I mean, the little bit of a pullback off earnings. I think arguably still strong. What does this look like here? Like, this is kind of what I see. And it's similar to like back here, how the low forms. Like, you kind of want to see this hold, or at least like, you know, this order block, because you could argue this is a order block we've just created here, right? On the weekly, there's your break in structure. I know it's a ginormous fucking box, and if you say anything about the size of my box, fuck you. But like in theory, this is where a reversal could occur in here. You could refine this and use this as a breaker instead, right? But we've got the breaker and we've got the fair value gap here. Like, I would be surprised if this thing bounces from here. Just me. Excuse me. Can we look at NQ at all-time highs? Yeah, I mean, we've gone over NQ already. Not much to say. It's at all-time high. It's at all-time high. Hims. So these guys who make the... are these guys making peptides or something? My box gets the job done. Like, it's not the best box and it's pretty big, but it's consistent. My box has been around for a long time, and a lot of people have learned how to draw their own boxes based on my boxes. Some of the greatest box drawers on the website learned how to draw their boxes from your boy Mayne. Yeah, like, is this the peptide company or something? Peptide resellers selling Eli Lilly. Is that no? What's LOY NVO? It's like Retatrutide and shit. I don't know. Like, are we reaching like any sort of like peptide fatigue? Yeah, my box has 100 out of 100 microbiome. That's fucking funny. Like, are we reaching peptide fatigue? Anyone? I've been. Thanks, Recoils. Appreciate that. Haven is goated. If you want to join, go to traderman.com. I've been like, I don't know if you guys can tell. You know, like, I feel like my face looks a lot skinnier. So I weighed over 205. I was between 205 and 210 at the end of the year. And I'm 6'1.5", 6'2", maybe, right? But like 6'1", I think is probably closer. And I'm like, and I'm 45. I'm 35. Okay, I'm completely natural. I've been going to the gym for a good amount of time. I'm pretty fucking strong. But I used to do like this big bulk and cut, right? I'd bulk, then I'd cut, and I'd bulk, and then I'd cut. But as I've gotten older, it's been harder to cut, or I've just been lazy, right? And I haven't wanted to cut as much. So for the last few years, especially with building Breakout, I got like, I got tired of starving myself. And so my diet went to shit. I wasn't doing a lot of cardio. My health was not in a good place. I was like working really hard, playing really hard. And so I got like a bunch of blood work done in December. And my like cholesterol was crazy, like bad cholesterol at least. I had some other markers that were very worrisome. My testosterone wasn't where I wanted it to be. But I've always been natural. And so I was very tempted, especially at my age, talking to anyone who's even 10 years younger than me. They're like, dude, just hop on peptides, bro. Get on fucking Retatrutide. get on BPC 157, get on testosterone, which is full on steroids, right? I don't care if you call it TRT, it's full on steroids. Do HGH, all this shit. And it's very tempting because I saw friends who had like crazy results. They're losing like 10, 15 pounds in a month. They're looking shredded. They're feeling amazing. They're like, oh, my skin is glowing. But I'm like, am I washed already? Or like, can I natty max? So I was like, before I consider doing anything like exogenous to my own body, so like steroids, peptides, whatever, I'm like, can I do this solo dolo? So from January 1, pretty much until now, I've been super aggressively. It wasn't quite Jan 1. It was kind of more mid to late Jan, early Feb, to be honest, because I partied on New Year's and stuff. But I went crazy healthy. No drinking, no drugs, strict diet, strict intermittent fasting, 10,000 steps a day, walking after every single meal. And I've lost a lot of weight. I now weigh 188 pounds. So I've lost, like, depending on what measurement you use, like anywhere from like 12 to 15 pounds. I went and got a DEXA scan. Of the 15 pounds I'd lost between my last DEXA scan and now, over 10 pounds of that was pure fat. I lost a little bit of muscle mass, but I'm okay with that because I was aggressively dieting. And not probably getting as much protein as I needed. But my visceral fat number went down. My cholesterol went down. My testosterone had a massive jump, like 25% increase in my test level. And I'm like, dude, I'm 35 and I'm able to see this kind of a result just from 3 months of focused effort. So my concern with like peptides is not necessarily that they work. It's just like, you're not going to have the habits necessarily that you need to maintain that weight loss and those gains if you stop them. And what do we know about the long-term side effects? We don't yet. So that was kind of like my thoughts. Now, have I considered still hopping on gear and stuff? Of course. But if I were to do TRT, I'd wait until after having a baby. But I mean, I feel so much better. Not drinking has probably been one of the best things since quitting smoking weed several years ago. Quitting alcohol might be the greatest thing I've ever done. Like in terms of immediate benefit to all aspects of my life. So I don't know if you're even considering it, like peptides, anything else, like I would say try and natty max first as much as possible before, you know, going to the at-home chemistry set. DEXA scans are dog shit. Okay, well, what's another good option? I don't know, bro. This is what was available. All right, guys. So I think plans are pretty clear on crypto, on equities. Like, let's just kind of see what happens here. I'm still kind of like, you know, unsure. I'm not going to force myself into any trades on anything. I think there's a Bitcoin trade to be had on the long side right now. Otherwise, I want to see what kind of reaction we get here at 80. That's where I'd be looking for the kind of next setup. Bro, trust me, I love beer as well. It's summer. Dude, I went to Coachella with my friends. Everybody was partying. I stayed sober the entire time. It was tough. Litecoin. Like, you just got to do it, dude. Like, it's the same with weed. Everyone's like, how do I get off weed? I'm like, cold turkey, bro. It's the only fucking way. Yeah, Litecoin, like, just, again, why would you even touch this? Why would you even touch this? If you want to trade this, in my opinion, you need it to break out of the range. Till then, it's just like not interesting at all. Could even argue like break out of this. Just anything, any sort of volatility. Real quick, guys, as always, I got to give a quick shout out to myself. Go follow the Order Book Show. Ansem and FaZe Banks's channel already has 70,000 subscribers, so or followers on Twitter. So we got some work to do. So if you want to support your boy, go give the Order Book a follow. I would love to get this thing to 10,000 followers, but hey, let's start about 3,000. That would be sweet. So this is where you can find all the clips from all the streams. Also, guys, if you aren't watching the streams, but you want to know what's going on in them, sign up for my newsletter on my website. It's completely free. My newsletter guy summarizes every single stream and posts it in the newsletter the next day. So if you don't watch today's stream, a summary of today's stream, all the important charts and levels will be in tomorrow's newsletter. Okay. So great opportunity for those of you who maybe don't want to follow the stream itself. You don't have time. But yeah, you can follow the newsletter and get the stream update instead. Also, you can give it a follow here on Instagram if you want some of the clips that we have that we go over on the stream. We got clips from the whiteboard series. Some of this stuff's really good. So make sure you go give it a check out if you're interested in more. The Order Book Show on Instagram, really would appreciate it. And of course, go watch my educational series that I've been working really hard on. So we now have 3 videos out. This one's an hour long. The next video is on market structure. Then we have a video on liquidity. So these videos are doing great. I'm really happy with the results so far. The views are going up. I love it. I worked really hard on this. I'm going to be recording another video after I finish this stream. So there's going to be over 30 videos in total in this entire series. The next video that's coming out, I believe, is on ranges. That will be released Monday. Then we'll have another video the following Monday. I just finished a video on fair value gaps. The video I'm doing today is on order blocks. So if you want those, they're on my YouTube. It's all completely for free. And all of this is going to be summarized at the end with a single video where I give you an entire trading strategy, my entire trading strategy, using all the things that we cover in these different videos. Okay, so go make sure you check those out on YouTube. I don't use log view ever, bro, to be honest with you. I only use log view when I want to feel better about the chart. So like I'll throw Bitcoin on the log view and I'm like, oh, like this thing just goes up and to the right over time. But I don't personally use log view ever, but it doesn't change anything. Like it doesn't change anything, you know? What's up, Philip? How you doing, bro? Quick shout out to NATO, one of the sponsors of the stream. So NATO's a Clob Dex. It's much like Hyperliquid, where you can trade on chain, spot, perps, equities, gold, silver. You can trade oil. You get more points for the airdrop if you're trading on NATO. If you want to get a link to trade NATO, just go to my page here. Right here, you can sign up for NATO with this link right here, okay? So start trading on NATO. It's an underfarmed airdrop. 100% this airdrop is massively being underfarmed. 950K points every single week. I take like 1 to 2 trades on NATO a week, and I'm top 20, I think, for points. So get over there. Free money on the floor if you want it. No KYC required. Just head to NATO XYZ. Use that link I shared. Start trading. It's brought to you by the same team behind Kraken. So, you know, it's going to slap. What can I say? I know the people working on it. I'm pretty bullish on NATO long term. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened, you know, over the last day. We obviously had massive amounts of earnings go out, right? Massive amounts of earnings. So Alphabet, which is Google, led big tech earnings, surging amid AI boom and stock swings. So they reported 110 basically billion in revenue, 22% year over year. Imagine growing 22% year over year, and it's hundreds of billions of dollars. A man can dream. Maybe I sold Breakout too soon. But 110 billion, 20%, and 63% growth in Google Cloud, and 19% in SureChat. So it's terrific start. Gemini's doing well, right? And if you go look at like the charts here, Google is one of the ones, right, that's trading up after earnings. Right, this is trading higher after earnings. It's one of the ones. Whereas, like, you look at NVIDIA, not that there was earnings on NVIDIA, but Meta also beat earnings. Google beat earnings, and you know, kind of a story of 2 different charts here. So, which one of these is lying? I don't know. One thing that's really funny that I just want to show you guys is just this fractal that I've had on Bitcoin and Google forever. Where is it? Is this a weekly? Okay, this is like a very funny fractal here. Okay, this is the megaphone bottoms already in fractal. Okay, so because this looks like this, you know the result is going to be the same. So if this plays out, I told you so. If it doesn't play out, fractals are dumb and gay anyways. But yeah, Google smashed earnings, trading at all-time high. Meta smashed earnings, bit of a pullback. You know, which one of these is fraud maxing? We don't know. But Alphabet, they're leading big tech. Massive beat on their part. Like I mentioned, Meta down 10% on the day. Biggest daily decline in the stock since October of 2025. 170 billion in market cap erased. And they beat earnings by 50% and beat their revenue estimation. So positive earnings, biggest down day in the stock in over a year. So yes, on Tuesday's stream, I said, hey, I like you guys, maybe stay out of the market on Wednesday. Just a thought. This is the kind of stuff I was talking about, where you can have a beat on earnings. Everything seems bullish. Stocks are going to all-time high. You're like, Meta had a huge beat. Everything's going up. I'm going to long it. And then you get absolutely annihilated. So, you know, sometimes you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. So Elon is in a lawsuit with OpenAI. So there's some pretty big accusations. So he was part of the early days of OpenAI. There's like a interview between him and Sam floating around right here, right? In 2015. And Elon has been, you know, consistent. Like OpenAI is a nonprofit, right? And then Sam is obviously, you know, run this as a company, which is for profit, a company that's not making any money. It's making money, but it's like perpetually fundraising because it's losing billions of dollars. But Sam Altman is driving around in a Pagani. So it's a nonprofit, right? It's a nonprofit. Sorry, he's not in a Pagani, excuse me. He is in a Koenigsegg Regera. This is Sam Altman, you know, CEO of OpenAI. This is like a more than $3 million USD car. So he's running a nonprofit and he's driving around in a $3 million car. Obviously, it's not a nonprofit. But if you wonder what Elon has been raging on about forever, because every time he's like, this was a nonprofit, blah, blah, blah. It's clearly not a nonprofit, right? Clearly not a nonprofit. It's a for-profit business. And Sam's been running as such, but they're in a pretty heated lawsuit. And I mean, read this for yourself. Some of the stuff that's being set out. It is a nice car. He absolutely has taste. I completely agree. It's a nice fucking car. But Musk is like, imagine being a lawyer and having to have this autistic richest man on the world on the stand. And he's like, you're being misled. What you're saying is false. Your questions are not simple. They're simply designed to trick me. If you ask a question where there's no possible simple answer, I must give a long answer because any simple answer would be misleading the jury. This classic answer to a yes/no question is not so simple. For example, if I ask you, will you stop beating your wife? The judge cuts him off, says, we're not going to go there. And he says, I find it funny that you're saying it was an unfair question since you're only asking unfair questions. So, I mean, imagine trying to cross-interrogate Elon Musk, of all people. But basically, in federal court, Musk was on the stand for 3 days, claiming that OpenAI violated its 2015 founding agreement by shifting to a for-profit model backed by billions from Microsoft, despite his seed funding and recruitment of key people. So pretty crazy. I wish this was televised so we could actually see it. Like, we've got the Johnny Depp Amber Heard fucking case televised, but we can't get Elon versus OpenAI. I mean, look at the face on this guy here. It's so funny. I could totally see, well, if I were to ask you to stop beating your wife, it's not such a simple yes/no question now, is it? Because first of all, did she deserve a beating? What did she say? Obviously joking. But you know what I mean? I can totally see Elon being like, it's a loaded question because maybe she had it coming. Like, because he's got 12 fucking he's a baby daddy with 12 different fucking kids. But yeah, fuck OpenAI on the gang. Pumpfun had a big announcement here. So they burned all bought back pump tokens, around 370 million worth, 36% of circulating supply, to gain trust with the community. So if you're unaware, Pumpfun has been buying and burning a ton of tokens nonstop, and the token hasn't gone up, right? So you look and you go, okay, well, like, what's going on with Pumpfun? Because they're making money, right? Like, they're making money. So if you look up on, like, I assume DeFi Llama has something. So if we look at like DeFi Llama here, like, they're not making as much money as they were, but in the last, I don't know, let's go. What is this? In the last month, they made $24 million, right? Obviously, in the heat of it, $148 million, but $24 million in revenue. Like, they're making money. They're not making money. Their annualized fees are well over, hundreds of millions of dollars, but the token's not going up, right? And you ask yourself, like, what's the difference, between this and like, like Hyperliquid? Hyperliquid's obviously making, more money. This is not what I wanted here. Here we go. All right, so Hyperliquid's fees annualized are double. But Pumpfun is still a profitable business. They're making a lot of money. They don't have a ton of employees. Hype's price is up. The market cap is up. And then you look at Pumpfun, and it doesn't have that same trajectory, at least the token, right? So you got to ask yourself, what's going on? They're doing the buy and burn. It doesn't seem to be working. Not all buy and burns are created equal, I think. And I think the pushback Pumpfun is getting here, right, is they're like, hey, we're doing this to gain trust. We want to lower the circulating supply. Despite being one of the biggest revenue generating platforms in all of crypto and allocating 100% of revenue to buybacks, we believe there is a lack of trust and longevity to the business, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people might have preferred if they used, right? Because like the buybacks don't necessarily work, right? So maybe burning the tokens is going to be better, right? Maybe burning the tokens is going to be better. I think a lot of people might say, hey, why don't you take $370 million and put it into the community? Spawn some fucking runners. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' take on this. Like, are you bullish on Pumpfun still? Like, this is a chart of a company that's going to make $300 million in revenue. Okay? This is the chart of a company that's going to make $700 million in revenue. But Pumpfun has a lot of issues, right? Like, first of all, what is Pumpfun itself? It's an area it's the environment where rug pullers and scam artists have proliferated over this last cycle. Daily runners, all of these cabals, all of these F&F groups who are fucking each other over. That's largely in part due to Pumpfun. I also think Pumpfun is directly responsible for the change in behavior of altcoin holders, right? People aren't as interested in holding altcoins long-term when Pumpfun has created these behaviors of, dude, you just need to dump shit. As soon as it goes up, you need to dump it, get on to the next runner. And then, yeah, no airdrop, dude. Like, Hype created a massive wealth event. Massive wealth event on Hype. Pump never did it. And they raised a ton of money. So I think they're fighting a little bit of an uphill battle, but the benefit is that they got a lot of cash. They got a lot of cash. They're building a treasury. So be interesting to watch what Pumpfun does. But I feel like an airdrop would, do better. So here's Luca Nets, PENGU, talking about it. He said, Pumpfun should have given the biggest airdrop the world has ever seen and prayed it drew down 95%. They would own the entire flow and this thing would be vertical. So we gave 50% of the way supplied away to people. Everyone said, dude, 50% liquid float. You are mad in a world where the floats are 3 to 5% FTV. It was actually a very contrarian bet. They never airdropped. He had mentioned he was going to airdrop and he never did. Rather than fulfilling that promise, you create a new idea, but you still haven't fulfilled the first one. That's where it all fell short. So, if anyone knows what they're talking about, I think Luke is a good person to listen to here, who had a successful airdrop, token launch. Pudgy, obviously, very successful company, very successful IP. Pumpfun guys aren't stupid, but I think he makes some good points here. Going through with that airdrop, they could have done the airdrop. People would have sold the token. They could have bought it back cheap. Now they own all the token, and they could have sent this thing. Is kind of what he's saying. And then they do charity coins, right? So we're burning a bunch of tokens. We're not doing an airdrop, but hey, let's do charity coins with donate.dg. Now, I'm a big fan of charity. I think charity is extremely important. And I think if you are successful, you're making money, you are, it's extremely important that you give back to friends, family, community. Whether or not you want to donate your money to some big charity or not, if you make a ton of dough, I think it's super, super valuable, especially in an industry like crypto, where it's a bit zero sum. We don't really add a lot of value to the world, to try and make a difference with the money that you do make. If you make an ungodly sum of money, do something nice for your family, do something nice for your friends, give some money to charity. I think it's actually really good juju. So I will never shit on charity. It's just kind of a funny pivot, I guess, based on what's going on. Because there's a lot of people in the trenches who could use some charity right now as well, in the form of a Pumpfun airdrop. It's kind of like OpenSea. I know a lot of guys who made a ton of money on OpenSea, tons and tons of money on NFTs, and spent a ton on fees in OpenSea. And then some of them get murdered because OpenSea isn't doing well, right? Or NFTs, aren't doing well. And they're kind of like, okay, but OpenSea is going to do an airdrop, and that's when I'm going to get my get back for all the fees I used on the platform, and then it just never happens. And I think OpenSea delayed it again, if I'm not mistaken. And it's kind of like, I don't know, you don't want to become those people. This is just kind of funny. There's a transfer to St. Jude, whether or not this is real, and they just cashed out the money to shuffle. AI generated image made by a prank account. Okay, well, it would be a lot funnier if this was real. This got me. So, guys, our boy Jay Powell, yesterday was his last FOMC conference as the Fed chair. So we have Warsh, Kevin Warsh, I believe is how you pronounce his name. We have Kevin Warsh coming in next as the next Fed chair. I know Trump is hoping that he'll be more dovish. Is that the right term? More Fed cuts, etc. But I mean, Powell was pretty consistent with his language. We had rates do nothing again, no change. And he said, until we have more clear evidence that inflation is trending towards 2%, there's no reason to cut rates. And the stock market is all-time high. There is no reason to cut rates right now. There just simply isn't. So I think Jay Powell, for all the shit he gets, has done a very good job managing the U.S. economy over his tenure as Fed chairman. I think he'll go down as a legend. I think he did a very good job. And this is by far the best meme that has come out of his tenure as Fed chairman. Jay Powell turning on the money printer. So pour one out. Shout out to a real one, Jay Powell. All of our sweater vests are, at half mast today for the GOAT. The shadow chair thing. Will he be keeping a low profile as governor?
Give us a little more detail on what that looks like and how you can touche. Walk down the steps. What that looks like, and particularly around the policy discussion, how you're able to have your intervention and not be a shadow chair. George Schneider with Reuters.
The shadow chair thing is very interesting. I actually hadn't heard about that before. Is there an entity, group of people, behind the scenes that are actively pulling the strings of the Fed chair, of Jay Powell? I don't know. But this is funny here with Lord Baelish. Cody says he stays on as a board sheet, so they think he will continue to influence things, perhaps. But Warsh is coming up. Thoughts on Mon? We've talked about Monad right before. I wanted to see it kind of hold this retest. It still could, but for now, right? Like, where do you even draw this line? You can kind of adjust it and try and make it look a little less shitty. But I wanted it to hold this retest here, to be quite frank, right? And then I had, this kind of demand zone here. I would say we want to hold that. You want to see that hold and us push higher. But yeah, I don't really have an opinion on Mon. I yeeted my airdrop. Sorry, not sorry. I think if we get into here, it's probably a bid. The ability to drag orders and stuff on breakout on the new terminal is going to be live, I believe, within the next push, which I think is tomorrow. Literally tomorrow. So we're just waiting for a few features to be finalized to do the global rollout for the terminal. And with that, a lot of the features like editing and changing the stops, dragging them around are part of that push. So I would say within literally days that will be available. I think if we hold this, there's an argument to be made that this is kind of the reversal, right? There's your structure break, push up, pull back. So that's a bullish argument for Mon right there. ZCash, I think, is another one of those coins that's just like, I talked about this a bunch. Had the sell-off, we went ranging. Now we're holding above the range. Weekly demand here. It's attempting to break out. I think it's a pretty straightforward setup here, right? Like if this thing's going to go, I think you want to see a hold. Right? You want to see it hold this kind of fair value gap here. So it's either going to go from here or maybe it has, one more push down and then it goes. But either way, you want to see it hold this break and retest, because if it fails and we just get back within this range and we start holding, well, then target becomes the lows. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get into some bet skis here. So, like, who do you guys got for the chip? You know what I mean? Like, who do you guys got for the championship, for the NBA? Boston is up 3-2, but Embiid's been playing really well. Like, Embiid's been cooking. New York's up 3-2. Orlando's up 3-2. Cleveland's up 3-2. This is a surprise, right? San Antonio, who I said I think is a good bet, and they have as good of a chance as OKC, right? They won 4-1. OKC won 4-0. So it's going to be OKC, unless the Lakers blow a 3-0 lead. It's going to be Lakers, OKC, and then San Antonio, and looking like Minnesota. But Minnesota lost Anthony Edwards. So Denver could come back and win this series. So that's something to watch for sure. Raptors have a chance, but I think Wemby's back though. He came back, I'm pretty sure. I just think that my main point here is I think 53% is high for this. I think the Spurs are just as likely to win it all. I think the winner comes out of the West. I think it's either whoever wins the West, I think wins the whole thing. And I think the Spurs and OKC, who are going to likely meet in the Western Conference Finals, unless the Lakers can pull off a miracle, have the best chance. And I just don't think that this is congruent here. Like, I think you could almost buy yes here, no here, and you could play the convergence, right? So I wonder if this will work. Like, so if I bet yes here and no here, I'm just doing this for fun. If these guys meet in the Western Conference final, right? Like, these bets are going to skew and I'll win on both. So if the Spurs get to the Western Conference finals against OKC and they go up like 1-0, I should be in money on both of those positions. So let's just see. We're kind of taking like a straddle almost. But I don't know. Who do you guys like? I think it's either OKC or San Antonio who wins. I obviously have a Hail Mary on the Lakers because I just love LeBron James. But they got to get one more win against Houston. Luka's still out. So, you know, they've got some issues. Luka maybe could come back for round 2. When is the first game for the World Cup even? June? Is it June? June 11th. So we still got some time until first game here, a little over a month. These are my bets, guys. I'm on France, I'm on Spain, I'm on England, and then I have some flyers on Portugal, Germany, Netherlands, Japan, and Belgium. Is there any other sleepers? Like, does Uruguay have any chance? Did the USA have any chance? Does Colombia, right? They still have James Rodriguez, don't they? He's not bad. Like, does Brazil? Should I be throwing a flyer on Brazil? Is Messi playing? Messi still hasn't even confirmed if he's playing or not. Like, is that a decent bet? Like, you bet yes, Messi confirms, this jumps up. Do we have any Europeans in the chat who's got soccer alpha for us? Like, this is the kind of stuff I like on Polymarket, is that, like, even if, because winning the World Cup is insane. I feel like most of the good teams have a chance and anything can happen in soccer. But a bet like this, where you bet on them to win, let's say you bet, $500, pays 10x, and then Messi comes out and says, I'm going to play. This might double. You know what I'm saying? Like, this might double overnight. I'm going to put 250 on this. And then if Messi decides that he's going to play, I think you can cash out and just make that spread, because this jumps up inevitably if Messi says he's going to play. Colombia is a sleeper. $100 to pay 5K. I'll fucking sprinkle. All I need is one of these fucking things to hit. You know, all of these. And like, again, if Argentina wins one game, if any of these teams I bet on win their first round, right? All of these odds are going to go up. And like a trade, I'm now in profit. I can start peeling some of it off. That's one of the coolest use cases of Polymarket, in my opinion. So will Elon win his case against Sam Altman? Obviously not a lot of volume on this market, only 180K. But if the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of California sides with Elon, he wins, and this bet wins. I'm a huge footballer. For me, Portugal is a sleeper. Portugal has a good chance. I bet on Portugal. You think this is free money that he wins? It's a 3x. I feel like I'd be shocked if Messi wasn't playing. I think that's actually a sleeper good bet that we just made there. Messi coming out and saying, hey, yeah, I'm fucking playing. I think that's a good bet. Does OpenAI have to go back to a nonprofit? There's no way. I think he's just going to have to pay him a bunch of cash. How many Fed rate cuts for this year? So I don't know on this one. I would like to say yes, just because I like Elon more and I like Sam. But I genuinely don't know enough about this case to make a bet. But again, anything that's happening in public events, current events, you can speculate on using Polymarket, and use my fucking link. Cody, drop my link in the chat right now. Any fucking market you want to speculate on, do it on Polymarket. Help your boy out. Okay? Help your boy out. Polymarket just sponsored Ansem and FaZe. They sponsored Thread Guy, and they're sponsoring your boy. So I want them to keep sponsoring your boy, so I need you guys to use my fucking link. Use my fucking link on Polymarket. Click it. Do some gambling. Morality says 0 rate cuts this year. 0. A lot of people agree with you. So there is There is five. There's five. There's, I think, 5 or 6 more meetings still. So, like, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about here? 0? You think 0? I don't know about 0, but there's a lot of time between then and now, right? So let's see how many more FOMC meetings. There are 5 remaining. 5 more. So the maximum amount of cuts could be 5. The least is 0. I don't know, guys. I think 1. Like, I like 1. I need to kind of bar myself from speculating on this because I'm 0 for 3 on betting on when the rate cut's going to happen. Maybe this is better. Like 1 out of 5, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's a good. Is it a good time to build a short on S&P 500? The problem here, bro, is like, where's your idea wrong? I'm much more interested in shorting the S&P if it goes back below here. Then by all means. Like, that's how I trade, because the risk with shorting now is what size do you get in at this level? And then how do you determine how high you're willing to ride it? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's tricky. But with the stock market chart looking like this, like, chances of rate cuts seem kind of small. What will the S&P 500 hit by the end of June? So in 2 months, what will the price of the S&P 500 be? I want to say like lower, dude. Gun to my head, lower instead of higher. Like, if I had to bet on this, I'd be betting on the lower thresholds. But I'm going to let this market cook a little bit more. But again, to your point there, what was your name? Freeman? Like, I can't short this. I can't. I don't know where I'm wrong. Where are you wrong? Let's say you short, $500 worth. Like that, and your max position size that you want to get to is $5,000 short. You want to get $5,000 short. I'm just throwing out numbers. So you do 500 here. Then it goes up more. You do another 500. It goes up more. Like, at what point when are you out? You know what I mean? And then what happens if you do 500 here and then it does this? Then do you go all in and then it does this? Like, there's just no, I don't know where I'm wrong. So for me to get into a short on this, I would need to see one of 2 things happen. I would need to either see on the low time frame, right, a loss of this range. On the higher time frame, a loss of 7,000. That's just me personally. So the last thing I want to talk about, guys, shout out to Polymarket, obviously. And like I said, if you guys want to support your boy, use my Polymarket link, start speculating on some shit, do some sports betting over there, do some mention markets, use my code, click it 10,000 times from 10,000 different computers so they don't fire me. Because I got a big family to feed. I got to feed me. I got to feed my dog. I got to feed my wife. And even though you think I'm starving myself by choice, this is because I have to. I need you to click my Polymarket link, or else, my entire family is going to starve and potentially die. So, and I don't want that to be on your conscience. I don't think you want that to be on your conscience. I don't want you to not be able to sleep at night because you have memories of just, this of me just withering away on lives, just getting skinnier and skinnier, and my cheeks getting gaunt. And I'm literally gonna get, I'm literally gonna go on a Gandhi style hunger strike unless you right now click on my Polymarket link. Talk about a shill. I love it. I have fun. Mondani. So I made a lot of fun of this guy, right? And a lot of people are like, this is what, we need. He's socialist, blah, 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 fucking New York. The entire campaign, Mondani has been like, we're going to have free public transit. We're going to have government-funded grocery stores. We're going to do this. We're going to stop landlords from being able to raise their rents. We're going to do all of this free shit. And as with every socialist, I'm not calling him a socialist. He's a self-admitted one. they get in there and they see how the actual numbers work and they say, wait a minute, we're out of money. We got no money.
Historic magnitude. We inherited a deficit larger than any since the Great Recession. Years of mismanagement and chronic under-budgeting, alongside a structural imbalance between what New York City sends to the state and what we receive in return, have taken a toll. We cannot close this deficit with savings alone. We need new revenue, and we need a structural reset in our relationship with the state. That is the only way to meet our legal obligation to pass a balanced budget, and to do so without imposing a financial burden onto the backs of a historic magnitude. We inherit.
How this likely ends is taxes, right? That's what they always go for. They go for taxes. And what I will give Mamdani is he is extremely charismatic. Like, I watched him on the Schultz podcast, and I'm like, I could see myself getting a beer with this guy. You know, he's charismatic, smooth talker, young guy, right? Obviously, massive disagreements on our views politically, but you know, I could totally see myself getting along. He's charismatic. He's got that Obama factor where it's like, man, this guy's charismatic. He's a great speaker. He's a great orator. But then this stuff always comes down to taxes, because where's the money come from? All this free shit. And they always go back to taxes, right? They always go back to taxes. So naturally, he goes and he makes a video outside of Ken Griffin, one of the richest people in New York, one of the guys who probably pays some of the most taxes to New York, and says, we're going to start taxing the rich. And what he's going to end up doing is driving a lot of rich people, it's already happening, out of New York to places like Texas and Florida, right? This is happening. We talked about this in the last video with California. It's happening in New York. A lot of people are going down to Palm Beach. Why deal with New York winter? I can go down to Palm Beach, same time zones, quick flight, and I don't got to deal with this bullshit. Ken Griffin was apparently, I believe, if what I saw was real, quite, angry that he made this in front of his apartment. But they always want to attack the rich. And what's funny to me is, similar to California, or you see what's going on in like Minnesota, it's like, how about instead of taxing the rich, who already by both dollar amount and percentage pay the lion's share disproportionately of taxes. The top 1% pay way more in taxes in terms of percentage and just the raw number than everyone else. It's not even close. Why scare these tax cows off who not only pay a ton of taxes, but also employ people? If you believe in like the idea of trickle down economics, right? People get employed by these big companies, these ultra wealthy people, they work there. Those people pay taxes there. They spend their money there in that economy, and it works its way down the system. Why not go after the fraud? Like what we've seen from guys like Nick Shirley is there's so much fraud going on in the government. In Canada, this happens. In the US, it happens. It's happening in Europe. And it's like hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud in California, hundreds of millions of dollars in frauds in Minnesota. Is that not a potential way to make up some of this windfall, instead of just being like, let's go after the rich some more? Maybe, just maybe, let's try and clean up what the fuck's going on in our own state, in our own city. Like, I'm sure there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fraud going on in the state of New York, just like there is in California and Minnesota. But as always, they just want more taxes, right? More taxes, more taxes, more taxes. So this is what I was referencing. Ken Griffith is like, fuck it, I'm going to take this project out of New York. $6 billion project, 20K jobs. Maybe that's not going to happen in New York anymore because of the actions of the mayor. We have a premier here in Canada, who's the premier of Ontario, who's been going hard on Trump, as if Trump even gives a shit who he is. Being like, we're not going to have American liquor brands on our shelves. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? You think Trump gives a shit if you don't carry American liquor on your shelves because of the fucking tariffs? Like, we objectively need to have a fantastic relationship with America. We, because of geography, share our border with the largest economy in the world. This idea that we're going to have this childish tit for tat being like, oh, America's going to put tariffs on us, we're going to do this. We're a fucking ant, compared to America on the global scale economically. And it would behoove us massively to empower our government and our people and our resources to have a amazing working relationship with America, but we don't do it. Like, we don't do it. Instead, it's like, let's bring money in from China and India and all these places that do not share the same values as Canadians. And I could go on forever. But it's this to me is very reminiscent. What Mom Donnie's doing, it's like, why make enemies of these people you don't need to? It's much better to have these people on your side. And liberals hate billionaires unless they're billionaires who are down for their fucking cause. You know what I mean? They love Bill Gates because Bill Gates wants to fucking keep you in your house and fucking feed you soybeans instead of real meat, right? He wants to have fucking lab grown beef, and he doesn't want you to go anywhere, where he flies around on his private jet and his yacht telling you that you need to fucking pollute less. Okay, buddy. They love Bill Gates, but then they hate fucking, Elon or Ken Griffith, who disagree with them politically. I don't know. I'm not going to try and get political here, but Danny, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Is highly annoyed that their education is not that valuable, and the person down the street who knows how to drill for oil and gas, who's moved to Texas, has a more valuable profession. And I think that annoys the fuck out of these people. And I think the average, Ivy League grad voting for this mayor is highly annoyed that their education is not that valuable, and the person down the street who knows how to drill for oil and gas, who's moved to Texas, has a more valuable profession.
Low-key kind of agree. Also, a lot of these Ivy League people, like, their jobs maybe are potentially more susceptible to being being done by AI. How many consultants and lawyers and all of these people are going to have jobs when AI gets good enough, whereas certain blue collar jobs maybe have more staying power during this AI revolution. Also, just a complete side note, I'm a Claude guy. Okay. I'm a Claude guy, but in terms of like the evil empire of the technocracy, there's Palantir, right? There's Peter Thiel guys. There's this guy. There's Palmer Luckey with Andriel. There's Elon Musk. There's, the CEOs of, there's Sam Altman. There's the head of Claude and Google and stuff. This guy, like, low key, kind of passes the physiognomy test, because I'll show you why. Like, low key, okay, like, a lot less creepy looking than some of the guys, but Alex Karp had like a Foyd in his office. Okay. He had a Foyd in his office. And the first thing he did was show her his sword and started fucking like showing her his sword moves. Like, low key fucking this is pretty sick. Like, this is pretty sick. Like, I fuck with this guy. You know what I mean? Like, when I buy something nerdy and retarded, the first thing I do is show it to my wife. Like, if I buy a lightsaber, right? Or I want to buy one of those Iron Man helmets that, retract automatically when you put hey, Jarvis, helmet open. I want to buy one of those. And the first person I'm going to show it to is my wife. She's going to come home. She'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm going to be like, Jarvis, fucking open fucking helmet. And this is the same energy I get. I kind of fuck with it. So as much as Palantir, Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, all of these guys are trying to bring the AI, Satan into our lives, this AI super intelligence that's probably going to be super evil and just kill us all. I do fuck with this pretty heavy. Like, this is something 100% I would do. I'd be like, babe, check out this fucking lightsaber I bought. You know what I mean? Like, he's a bro. Yeah, one of the things I like about Elon, and Elon gets a lot of flack, is that Elon is a humanist. He believes that the Earth can support more people. He wants to have a colony on Mars. He wants us to get interplanetary. He has 45 fucking kids. Whereas a lot of these other billionaires are kind of like death cult. Fucking camera. Sorry. I did get a fan for the camera. I just forgot to install it. A lot of these other like billionaires are like kind of like death cultists, where like they're like, there's too many people. We need less people. We need way less people. People need to die. We got to get rid of all the people. The Earth's gonna die. die if we don't. Like, that's what I mean with when I'm talking about, like, Elon versus some of these other guys. I'm of the belief, like, you look at Bill Gates. Like, Bill Gates clearly thinks the world would be better off if there's less people on it. Who's an Israeli asset? I've talked about a lot of people here. I'm a good goyim. Well, I fucking would hope so, right? Don't good goyims get good stuff? Over 70% of the East Village voted for Mandani, and now they're suing him because he plans on relocating a homeless shelter into the East Village. This is chef's kiss. So there's something called NIMBY syndrome. It means not in my backyard. So it's like, do I want homeless people to be put into low-income housing, that gives them a place to live and maybe get back on their feet? Yes, I do want that. But I definitely don't want that if it's in my neighborhood, not in my backyard. And that's exactly what these people in the East Village are realizing now. They voted for this, and now the consequences of their actions, are coming to roost. So, sucks to suck, I guess. Glenn Beck says NYC faces a budget crisis. He means we ran out of other people's monies. We need new revenue, meaning we're going to tax you more. I mean, basically, that's kind of what I said. And when you run out of rich people to tax, who do they start fucking? They start fucking you. Because even though you might not be the top 1%, you're still a fucking cash cow for them that they're going to come down on and try and raise taxes on you as well. And this is just always how it goes. Last bit on this point here before we wrap it up, guys. This is the new socialist mayor of Seattle. They're having the same issue that a lot of these other places are having, where rich people are leaving. Seattle had Microsoft, right? Kirkland, Costco is from Seattle. Amazon, I believe, was out in Seattle as well. Headquarters, a lot of money. They start taxing these super rich people. They all leave. They start having to tax the middle class. And it's just kind of this consistent way to hollow out these financial centers and really ruin these cities and these states. And this chick,
leave, like, bye. Millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye.
This chick's never had a job before, by the way. She's like 42 years old. This is her first serious job, and she's saying bye to all the tax revenue that allows the city to do what it does. I mean, I just don't think these are serious people, and I think it's very scary when they get into power because a vast majority of people vote for them. That's the only way they get in. A lot of people think that these people have the answers. We've seen what socialism leads to. Capitalism is not perfect, but by far, out of the governing, systems and that have been tried, right? Dictatorships, socialism, capitalism, fascism. Capitalism has on aggregate raised more people out of poverty and been better net positive. Less people have died than a lot of these other things that have been tried. But hey, say bye to the money. We'll see how that goes long term. We'll check in with her in a year. Maybe she'll be giving speeches like Ma'am Danny when all the money's gone. So guys, listen, I know I'm not Ansem and FaZe Banks. I might not be Thread Guy. I'm just little old Trader Mayne. But we're having fun doing these streams. I'm going to keep doing them. I hope you guys are enjoying them, as well as all the other content I've been putting out. The market structure video, the liquidity video, make sure you check those out. Part of the whiteboard series. You can find those on YouTube. If you want to support me, like the videos, leave comments, share, all that fun stuff. Check out Polymarket, NATO, the sponsors of these videos. You can find those links in the description here or below on Twitter. Click those links, use them, come speculate with me. If you want anything else from your boy, go to my website, tradingman.com. Free newsletter, free Telegram, free Discord. It's all free, guys. This costs you nothing. All I ask is just some support. Appreciate you guys.